So if we look there, question 4 has 2 coordinates and I want you to find the midpoint between them. 2 coordinates and I want you to find the midpoint between them. 2 coordinates, I want you to find the midpoint between them. So for all of these questions, you just have to do each one of these out individually, and we're going to use the formula for these, okay? So the midpoint is going to be we'll have a quick look and see. The formula that we're going to use is going to be x1 plus x2 divided by 2, comma, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So that is our formula. Anytime we're dealing with these, we always have to label our points. So we'll say 2, 1 and 4, 3, 2, 1 and 4, 3, 2, 1 and 4, 3, and we'll label them x1, y1. X coordinate, y coordinate, and they're both in the first coordinate, so that's x1, y1. Second one, x coordinate, y coordinate, and these are both in the second, so we label them both x2, y2. And now all we need to do is fill in the information that we have. Okay, so this is part 1. So x1 is going to be 2 plus 4 divided by 2, comma, y1 is going to be 1 plus y2, which is 3 divided by 2. Add them together, we get 6 divided by 2, and we get 4 divided by 2. 6 divided by 2 leaves us with 3, 4 divided by 2 leaves us with 2. So the coordinate there, the midpoint of those 2 points, so if I was to get the midpoint between those 2 lines, or between those 2 points, my answer would be 3, 2. So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes there to try the next few, right? So I'm going to do question 2 there now. So 1, 1 and 5, 5. So again, we have to label this. We've got an x coordinate, we've got a y coordinate. These are both in the first coordinate, so I call them x1, y1. We've got an x coordinate, we've got a y coordinate, and these are both in the second, so I'm going to call them x2, y2. Now all I'm going to do is fill in the information that I have. So I start there by opening my bracket. I've got x1, which in this case is 1, plus x2, which in this case is 5, all divided by 2. I've got y1, which in this case is 1, plus y2, which in this case is 5, all divided by 2. And that's going to give me 6 over 2 and 6 over 2. So that's going to give me 3, 3. The coordinate between those 2 points will be 3, 3. Sorry, just tidying that up. The coordinate between those 2 points will be 3, 3. So part 3 there is the midpoint between the point 1, 3 and 3, 5. So 1, 3 and 3, 5, and we just put them in there. You can see you've got your x coordinate, you've got your y coordinate. They're both in the first coordinates. I'm going to label them x1, y1. You've got your x coordinate, you've got your y coordinate. They're both in the second coordinate, so I'm labeling that x2, y2. Okay. We'll just fill in the information from here. So x1 is going to be 1 plus x2, which is going to be 3, all divided by 2, comma, y1 is going to be 3 plus y2, which is going to be 5, all divided by 2. And you can see exactly where those values come from. x1 is 1, x2 is 3, y1 is 3, y2 is 5. Okay, tidy that up. 4 over 2, comma, 8 over 2, because when we add them, we get 4. When we add them, we get 8. 4 divided by 2 gives us 2. 8 divided by 2 gives us 4. So you can see there, that's my answer for part 3. And there we have that. So that's 3 questions done together. First 3. I'll get you to try the next few because especially the last one there has negatives in it. So it's good for you to practice them. We'll move on there to question 5. So question 5. It says A is 0.11, B is 0.51, C is 0.54, D is 0.14. So there are 4 points on the plane, right, and a coordinate grid. Find the coordinate of M, the midpoint of AC. Okay, so they want the midpoint of AC. So you need to be able to look at that, take point AC, and we'll take point AC and we'll find the midpoint of it. So the midpoint of AC, I'm just going to write out what AC is here. So AC is going to be, A is going to be 1, 1. C is going to be 5, 4. Okay. Now, okay, so you've got your 2 points there. We're looking for AC, which we know. So we know we're looking for AC. So I need to use the points A and the point C. So I've taken point A and I've taken point C. I'm going to have to put those values into the formula. So I need to know which one is x1, which one is x2, which one's y1, which one's y2. And it's very, very easy to do that. How we do that is we've got x as our first coordinate, y as our second coordinate. 1 because they're both in the first coordinate. X is this coordinate, y is this coordinate, and because these are both in the second coordinate, I'll just label them as x2 and y2. Okay? So, the next step is very simple. The next step is just subbing in those values. So we're going to take each of these and we're going to drop them into the equation. So instead of x1, I'm going to put in 1. Instead of x2, I'm going to put in 5. Instead of y1, I'm going to put in 1. And instead of y2, I'm going to put in 4. So let's do that. So instead of x1, I'm going to put in 1, like I said, plus instead of x2, I'm going to put in what the x2 value is, and the x2 value is 5. Comma, my y1 value is next, so the y1 value is going to be 1 plus the y2 value, and the y2 value is 4. So that's my equation, or my values filled in. Next step there is to work out the fractions. So if I tidy this up, 1 plus 5 will give me 6. So I'm going to turn that into 6. And 1 plus 4 will give me 5. So I'm going to turn that into 5. So this here will be 6 over 2, comma, 5 over 2. And if I was to write my final answer, the coordinate there, I would get 6 divided by 2. So 6 divided by 2 is going to give me 3. And 5 divided by 2 will give me 2.5. So that coordinate there is 3 and 2.5. Just to make this more visual, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to plot that point. So if we take that point A, which was 1, 1, and C, which is 5, 4, okay, you can see that line there. And that's going from here. It is going from, okay, again, so let me just try that one last time. So it's gone from here to here, okay, and what I've calculated the midpoint to be, I've calculated the midpoint to be 3 and 2.5. So 3 and 2.5, which is here, because it's 3 on my x-axis, okay, so 3 on the x-axis and 2.5 on the y, so 2.5 on the y. So that's the midpoint. So that's what I'm expecting to be the midpoint, and that seems to be about correct. From what I can see there, that looks to be about correct. Okay, so what I did there is correct. So that's part 1. Part 2 is going to be the midpoint of BD. So the midpoint of BD is going to be part 2. So what I'll do is I'll get rid of all that and we can do part 2. So we're going to look at the second one there, and the next question there asks us to find the midpoint of BD. So in order to get the midpoint of BD, obviously I need the midpoint formula. But once I have the midpoint formula, I need to be able to label my coordinates and fill in my values. So I'm going to start off by labeling the coordinates, and then I can fill in the values. So if I was going to label that, I'd label the first one there as x, obviously, because x always comes first, y is second, and they're both in the first coordinate, so I can label them as x1, y1. Obviously, for the next one, I'd label them both as x and y as well, because you have an x coordinate and a y coordinate, but the first one there is x2, and the second one is y2. So they're both in the second coordinate, so you have x2 and y2. The next step there is just to fill in my values, and you should be able to fill them in very, very straightforward. So instead of x1, I can put in 5 plus x2, which is 1, all over y1, which is 1, plus y2, which in this case will be 4. I'll give you a chance to do that. So open your brackets. Okay. Your first fraction, your second fraction, both of them are being divided by 2. Instead of x1, I can put in 5 plus x2, which in this case is going to be 1. y1 in this case is going to be 1. And y2 in this case is going to be 4. So that will give me 5 plus 1, comma, 1 plus 4. Next step there is just to tidy all this up. So I'm going to tidy this up by pulling these together. So 5 plus 1 will give me 6. And 1 plus 4 will give me 5. So that gives me 6 over 2, comma, 5 over 2. And that will give me 3 and 2.5. So the midpoint for that line is 3 and 2.5. So just to help you visualize that, I'm just going to graph it. I didn't ask to graph it. I'm just doing this for the sake of you being able to see what's happening. And I'll do this graph in blue. Okay. So that's the midpoint of BD. B in this case is 5 and 1. So 5 and 1 is here. D in this case is 1 and 4, which is here. And you can see then that that forms this line. And the midpoint of that line is going to be between this and this. Am I right with that? 5, 1, 1, 4. No, I'm wrong. Sorry, that's drawn wrong. 5, 1. So I put my wrong x value. So my x value is 5. My y value is 1. So 5, 1 is obviously here. So I'll fill that in. 5, 1. And 1, 4. 1 and 4 is obviously there. So I did that backwards last time. And we're going to see where the midpoint is. And the midpoint is going to be, we can see there that the midpoint is going to be the same point. Oh, same point, which is 3 and 2.5. 3 and 2.5. Okay, so that's that question done.